When we thought we were back on the right track, it all goes downhill again. You see, I actually don't mind the last issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. Compared to what we got, it was actually okay. It was rather basic, but at least it felt like Spider-Man. But this issue is weird as hell. And when I say weird, I mean weird in a very weird way. I just want to iterate that a lot of this video will be in reference to the previous comics, because I feel like a lot of what this comic gets wrong is what relationship it has with the rest of the series. So I think in retrospect, you kind of have to look back at the comics that have come before this one and really compare and contrast. And you guys will see what I mean by that. This comic wants to have fun. It's obvious that Zeb Wells loves writing Spider-Man. You can actually tell. I'm not gonna lie, that's not a dig. He can write Spider-Man in a very fun way, and you can tell that Zeb Wells just wants to have fun writing this book. But there's a time and a place, man. Kamala Khan's death was 2 issues ago, and the way that it's been handled is as disrespectful as the way that they killed her and underrepresented her character in the first couple of issues of the book itself. They referenced it in the last issue, and it seemed like Peter's character was going to go in a pretty neat direction. And despite the weird scene with him sleeping with Kamala's mask, the intention to have Peter's character directly be affected by the death of Kamala Khan to save any sort of emotional depth the comic had going forward was actually made by Zeb Wells. So I do appreciate that he did try and sort of work around the very frigid death of Kamala and the very untimely, unnecessary, and quite frankly disrespectful death of that character. He tried to go forward with the characters that he had and did try and do something. So I could appreciate that in the last issue, but here they don't even try! This book doesn't even care for Kamala. Kamala's death is now rendered completely obsolete. It's absolutely mental. I also do not think it helps that there is a massive tonal shift in this issue as well. The tone is so much more lighthearted and goofy and feels like a Saturday morning cartoon. But to be honest, it's too much. And because of this, they completely ruined Doc Ock. They slaughtered my boy. I gave them the benefit of the doubt in my last video, and quite frankly, I was feeling quite positive because the last issue made me kind of happy considering the current run of the comics. And since we haven't seen Paul in a while, my overall mental health has been drastically increasing. But now I can't take it anymore. Doc Ock is ruined, plain and simple. He's literally acting like a stereotypical villain of the week, with over-the-top villainous dialogue, monotonous motivations, and outright he just doesn't fit into this story whatsoever. The tonal shift with his character is completely unjustified, unnecessary, and quite frankly, it's really jarring. I get it, he's Doc Ock. This is a Spider-Man story. But come on, guys. Kamala died 2 issues ago. What is it? What's going on? Not to mention, I think the biggest issue with Doc Ock at the moment, just in the Spider-Man comics in general, is that he's one of Spider-Man's most emotionally developed villains. In fact, apart from maybe Norman Osborn, I'd say he probably is close to being, and maybe he is the most emotionally developed villain in Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. He became the superior Spider-Man. He went through an arc of learning responsibility in his own sort of way. Everything that could have been done right with Doc Ock before Superior Spider-Man, leading up to it and during, was done, but now it's all been undone to make him the classic villain that he has always been once again. And we know comics always like to reverse characters back to the status quo because that's where they're at their most popular, right? But in terms of a character like Doc Ock, you can't just slaughter his character in the way that they did. It's not right for long-term readers. Because now he's been turned into a goofy, bumbling idiot who just has revenge on his mind. It's kind of boring, really. We've seen it before, and it's fine if that's like the first couple of times that we meet this character. But it's the fact that he's gone through so much emotional depth, he's gone through so much as a character, and it's basically just been all stripped away. And I'm not trying to say you can't have light-hearted and goofy and bumbling villains, because that's a part of Spider-Man's charm. He has a rogues gallery that maybe some of them are really, really silly. But these books can have emotional depth and be good whilst being funny, light-hearted, and approachable. I think you can do both. They don't have to be straight up made for 5-year-olds, which I think is the exact problem I have with this issue. It's not that it's too light-hearted, it's that the tonal shift makes no sense with the story they're trying to tell. I thought the last issue, and I am referring to this a lot, but I think I just have to reiterate this in comparison to this issue, I think it hit the nail on the head. It dealt with Kamala Khan's death, which was perfect. It dealt with it, but it also experimented and explored the lighthearted and, quite frankly, goofy nature of Spider-Man. It explored both aspects and showed how Spider-Man's life can go from being a travesty to basically just being everything that everyone loves and knows about the character. But here it's just straight up like light-hearted nonsense. I don't get it. The tonal shift is really, really weird. And given the tone of the recent story with Kamala, this is a diabolical problem. You can't just switch up that fast. It don't make no sense. Not to mention, this issue gives us a really weird J. Jonah Jameson and Doc Ock tentacles story. Like, I don't even know how to explain that, and if you guys haven't read the comic, that last sentence that I just said probably makes no sense whatsoever, and it definitely does sound as absurd as it actually is. I have no idea what the actual heck they were cooking with this one. Basically, at the end of the last issue, Doc Ock's tentacles approached J. Jonah Jameson, and they were injured. Jameson recognized them, and in this issue we find out, and get this, apparently they're friends! And not only that, it turns into a weird, twisted, soppy love thing. It's really freaking weird. Turns out the tentacles would keep going back to Jameson until Jameson grew love to them and took care of them. When they needed a place to stay, he would always be available. And I think that's weird. I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me. And they use this as leverage for Norman and Peter to help JJ as well. Never would I see the day that in one of these comics, the most normal thing happening is Peter Parker and Norman Osborn being friends. Because that's about all that's not weird at the moment. And moreover on things that I'm disappointed about. I'm really disappointed that we didn't get more of Black Cat in this issue as well. I really like Black Cat. And I'm not going to lie, I think Zeb Wells writes her pretty well. Heck, you know what, I'm going to say it. If we're being honest about the bad stuff, we gotta be honest about the good stuff too. I think Zeb Wells is one of the best writers when it comes to writing Peter and Felicia. Just the interactions that they've had across the whole series as a whole, and I've said this right the way through. I said this in my previous videos. I really like the way that Zeb Wells handles Peter and Felicia. I really like their relationship in this book. I don't know why. The way in which he writes them gives them nice chemistry. I feel like I could read a whole book on Peter and Felicia when they're together. These two are some of my highlights of the last issue, and kind of the whole run in general, and I'm kind of bummed out that we didn't get that here. But whilst we're also on a positive, I also want to point out that Ed McGuinness, once again making an absolute statement as to why he should be head artist on Spider-Man at the moment. I loved his work in the last issue, and he does not let down here as well. Definitely one of the best parts of the book. Although, I don't like Doc Ock's design. I think he looks goofy, but at least he got the tone right, am I right? This issue ends with Doc Ock essentially bringing Spider-Man to his knees. The next issue will be about how Spider-Man escapes his fiercest battle yet. Yeah, I know it's like the millionth time he's fought Doc Ock, but, you know, it's fine. At least we might be getting Green Goblin back. The cover for issue 34 has been released, so yeah, even though I'm not a fan of the Norman/Peter story, you guys know that I'm not gonna lie, I'm invested now. I'm all in. I want to see this fight. This Green Goblin Spider-Man fight, it's gonna be good. At least that's been one constant throughout the whole book. They have focused a lot on Norman and Peter's relationship. And you know what? It's probably for the better, because that Green Goblin Spider-Man fight is going to be hella tasty when it happens. Either way, that's it for my video on this issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. If you love my videos, then make sure to subscribe. And also, if you want to support me as a creator, you can join my members page just for 99 pence a month, which I think is like $1.20, something like that. You get all the videos that I post early, and yeah, it's really, really cool. And for £2.99 a month, essentially, you get all that, all the perks that come with being a amazing member, and being a spectacular member means you get exclusive content as well, on top of everything you get as a 99 cents member as well. So with that being said, thank you guys for watching, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, and peace.